Hello and welcome. As you can see, I'm going to be having a Halloween play today. I want to get cracking on that last signature, the one for 2019, to put into my 4-year Halloween journal. But let me explain for the moment why I'm behind, because out of the clear blue, I realized that I needed to remove the chair and television from my studio because I needed an extra table, more room in general. Well, now that is literally opening Pandora's box. My husband and I managed to get that recliner out of here. It's in its new home. I'm very happy. He took the television. It was only, a small one. He took the television for his airplane workshop, because the one he's had for, we are trying to figure out, maybe 25 years, and still chugging along, but it was one of those that was this deep, and so that worked out. And then, well, the table came in and we had to move things around and play and everything, and things were piled up on this table, without exaggeration, at least a foot deep. But I think I've gotten everything under control, and I'm feeling very happy about it, and I'm liking having more place to work and leave things out on a table so that I can come back to them and not just have the things that I'm working on right here in front of me. So, that aside, today I was tagged to answer the 10 questions, the 10 magical crafting questions, and I was tagged by Carol Sedal, and she is capital P, Pink Dragon JJ. The capital P, all of the rest in lowercase, and it's all one word. P, capital P, Pink Dragon JJ. So, she sent me the list of questions, and I have them right here, and I will be answering while I'm working. But before I begin answering those, here is the cover that I had accomplished, and here is the inside, the center spread of this signature. So I don't have very much papers, Halloween-y papers, and so I've decided to see what I could do about making the backgrounds myself. This was the first one I did. I just used all of my Ceramcoat. I used my Pansy Purple, Rain Gray, Orange Soda, of course a black, Passion, and Folk Arts Black Cherry, a must for anything. I love that color so much. So those were the ones I used, and I just worked them on here together. And I did a little bit of a stamp that I've had in my among my Halloween things, and some a witch's hat stamp that's hiding out here on this page, on this desk somewhere, who knows. So that left me with on the last time we worked, this was done. I did this, and then I turned this one over, and I decided to just bring out some of the colors, the Halloween-y colors, and I did some stamping. So that's where I am on the cover. Question number 1: what is your name? I'm Carol Messier Martine. Question number 2: how did you get your YouTube name? Well, being absolutely, completely unaware of the ins and outs of all of this, when I just chose Carol Martine Art, all one word, capital letters. To be honest, it was easy, and I was learning so much about how to do videos, how to how to get them up onto YouTube, etc. I just went for the easy way out with Carol Martine art. Nothing fun there, but it is what it is. Okay, so then here, this goes in here, and for this one, I worked with the stitchery that's on the front here, and I worked around it, and I used my rain gray, and this stencil, which is part of the package that I got maybe 2 years plus ago, and these are paper stencils made by Plaid. I believe I got them in AC Moore ages ago. They do similar things now, but I haven't seen the flowers again. I keep looking. In case I see them, I would let you know immediately. So I put 3 layers, black first, and then the purple, and then the black cherry, and I stamped on a few spiders. So this is where I am now, and I thought that today I would work on getting a little bit further along because I have to make some ephemera, but this came in in my Happy Mail, and I thought, well, wouldn't this be fun as a pocket on the back of the signature, and I can still see a little bit of the witch and tiny, but I can certainly see those witches' hats. So, question number 3 is, what is your favorite craft? Well, for those of you who know me, know that up until 5 years ago, I was a rabid needle worker. I did needlepoint, and at that point, I have to be honest, I felt as though I was to the top of the mountain, and I had always said that for my 70th birthday bucket list, I was going to do what I've always wanted to do, which was mixed media art. And so I did that and learned from scratch on that. And thank heavens for YouTube, because I did learn a lot. And I evolved through the various phases. And last year, I discovered junk journaling and really, really fell head over heels. I welcomed the addiction, and I still do. And so I have to say, however, that I'm going to try to do some more stitchery. Now, not at the level that I was doing before, because it was mind-bogglingly difficult and tedious, but of course I loved every second of it, being a type A personality. But those were my primaries. A lot of that has to do, of course, with the home I came from. I was raised as a wee girl, surrounded by my mother and grandmother, who were absolutely marvelous seamstresses, and I learned to sew on a Treadle Singer sewing machine that my grandmother had used when I was 8 years old. And my mother's answer to that was, well, dear, if you're going to learn, why don't you just make something that you can wear? So, dear ended up making a gray wool flannel jumper. And as I said, I've always been a person who jumps off the deep end in order to learn something. So, yes, I wore that jumper until I grew out of it, and I learned my crochet. Now, I didn't learn to knit because my mother and grandmother didn't knit, but I learned to crochet and do embroidery, make dolls' clothes, etc. All of the little things little girls do. And this little girl just never grew out of it is what the problem is, and I love every second of it. So, number 4, favorite place to shop for craft supplies. Well, I would have to say that I'm lucky to be here in Jacksonville, Florida, because we have Hobby Lobby, we have Michaels, we have AC Moore, we have Joann Fabrics, etc., and a 1 or 2 independent art supply stores. But I do find that I get an awful lot of craft supplies from mall diving in antique malls. So I would say that those are the options that I have. I couldn't pick one of the chain stores as my favorite, but antiquing in antique malls is just a wonderment and joy for me, and I do find lovely things. So, as you can see, I need to make some ephemera. But okay, what next? What next? Well, I'm thinking somebody needs to have a belly band. Somebody needs a belly band. This is Hobby Lobby lace, as you can, I'm sure many of you recognize it. And I thought, wouldn't that do nicely? What are your top your favorite YouTube channels? Well, goodness, I have to say that there are so many, and particularly in the last maybe 2 or 3 months, I'm finding new channels all the time, and I'm absolutely particularly loving the fact that a lot of the channels that I'm finding are newbies, and I do like to support and comment and encourage artists on YouTube who are just starting out. So I have a few of those that I have just, and I'm really, to be honest, they're on my to-do list of to-do watching list. I haven't had time in the last few days because I've been rampaging in this little studio of mine. But other than that, for over a year, I've been very taken with. Let's see now, and this is not in preference order. This is just in order as I remember. I very much like Rachel at Roxy Creations. If you don't know of her, you run, don't walk. Gail Agostinelli, Wendy of Wendy's Journal Adventure. Wendy makes the most beautiful journals, and I was lucky enough to snag one of them, and I'm so happy that I did. Let's see, Nick the Booksmith. I also love Anneli, Anneli, from Sweden. She is a wonderful artist, and you can learn so much from her. And of course, I cannot stop without adding Andrea Allen. Andrea is Artie Mays, and she's my therapy, and I hope that when I grow up I can do the kind of art that she does, and that Wendy does, and that Rachel does. So those would be high on my list, but I would advise you also to try finding some new ladies and give them some love and attention, because they have wonderful things to teach. In fact, today I learned how to make an infinity closure. An infinity closure. If I can think of, I'll look back. I found her on Artie Mays, in the Artie Mays group, and I will include her information below. That infinity closure was just wonderful. My favorite color, well, until I started doing junk journaling, these purples and oranges were my least favorite. Now you can see. Oh, but I have to say, probably my very top of the list is, and always has been, is neutrals. I like the neutrals, the tea-dye color and down the scale into darker colors, but I do enjoy neutrals as my primary go-to love. So, 2 things done. Well, oh goodness, you can see that I didn't, for me, not to clean up, the deluge in this studio happened, and it happened with a vengeance. Let's see. I was thinking of this. Oh. I was thinking of this. Up here might be fun. Might be fun. Right there. Yes. I've had these in my stash for so long. It's a wonder they're not screaming at me. Let's see. Let's just see. I will certainly have to put this framelit on using Fabri-Tac, but this should do just fine. And if it doesn't, I'm just going to do a little drop here. No, I guess not. I'm going to just do a little, making sure that this works. Come on now. Come on. Are you going to be obnoxious? No. Not really. Okay. Oopsie daisy. I'm just going to plop that right there. I'm going to just plop this right there. And I'm not going to get too upset over the fact that the stitching is showing. In fact, I think it adds character. Now, okay, let me put that pin back in here. I have forsaken all of my fancy tops for this, and I just use pins which I can change out. Favorite craft tool? Well, well, to be very honest, the things that I go to and really wonder how I would survive without are these two. Art Glitter Glue and Fabri-Tac. They are extremely high up on my list, and I don't think I would be a happy girl if someone took away my Distress Inks and Distress Oxides, because they're just wonderful. And I'm going to stop there, because the list, as you know, as I'm sure you know, could become totally and completely endless. Now this is going to be Tricky business here. Let's get this down, Carol. And I'm going to hold it for a moment, so I'll work on the questions. Where did my crafting love come from? Well, as I told you earlier, my grandmother and my mom. My mother took up knitting probably when she was 70 or 75, taught herself how, and made me some of the most magnificent tops and sweaters and so forth. And I did learn to knit, but to be honest, knitting was never, I didn't like the two needles thing. Of course I did it. In fact, my girlfriend, who was knitted from the time she was my best friend, who we've been best friends now, this year will be 60 years. She said, "Okay, Carol, I'll teach you how to knit." I said, "Good." Now, I'm visiting her in South Florida. It's 300 plus miles away. And she said, "Okay, you're going to do an Aran sweater. And I'm going to teach you how to do those cables and etc. and those grape clusters and whatever." And I did them. I learned them. However, I came home and I had to do everything right because I didn't know how to fix anything. If I'd made a mistake, I don't know, I would have been up the creek. Now, my mother, of course, when she learned to knit, she taught herself how to fix mistakes well. So I made, and I wore that Aran sweater, and now that I look back on it, but that craft love came from my mom, and there was a lady that lived, I was born and raised in Brooklyn in an old row house, and the lady next door was a German lady, and she and her daughter were, well, it was just like craft heaven. Her basement, in those days, of course, we called them cellars, she had divided off into rooms which were filled with crafting and goodness, and there is nothing on this earth to equal the German ladies doing the very finest knitting on needles that you could hardly see. They were so fine, and of course they didn't look at their work. But she taught me an awful lot too, so I was really surrounded by it, and I never, ever, ever stopped. And here I am putting this frame on this magazine picture of a vintage Santa collecting toy, and I remember carrying those. So I think they're down. Yes. When did I start? Well, this is, I started in very end of 2016 doing this. And, but I have to be honest, next year, my plan for 2020 is going to be to see how I can work the two things that I love, the mixed media and art journaling, with my junk journaling. I'll have to give it a think to see how I'm going to get that done, but that's my plan. Now, it says the last question that I received was, what is your favorite place? I'm sure it must have to do with junk journaling, so I'm going to assume, well, my favorite place would be, there is an antique mall here in Jacksonville that has come up with an awful lot of goodies for me. But this past weekend, we were up in the mountains, and I had a few hours at a wonderful antique mall in Little Mountain, South Carolina. A little bit of heaven, that mall. So, I think I have covered the questions, and I'm going to have to think who I can pass the tag on to. So, what else was I going to do? I was going to look at, Yes, and it's got that little bit of dimension. I do hope that that stays down. In fact, I'm going to get up right now and put a heavy book on top of this. Oh boy, there it is. Weighs more than I do. All right, now, that's something for there. And when I got to the bottom of this table today, I noticed this is old lace. In fact, it's getting what's called, it's so old that, let me show it to you. Where can I show it to you? The black is becoming what we used to call rusty. Let me show you what happens to anything that is this old. Do you see that? That's getting rusty. That's called rust when fabric and thread, and it feels like it's probably silk. But that's getting a little rusty. Not too bad. Well, the front is looking its age. Looking its age. I'm going to take one of these, and I think I'm going to put that right there. And I'm going to take this one, because it's kind of out of shape a little bit. And so I'm going to use this one, and put this one. Now there is such fine netting between these two that I can cut without losing these loops. Things used to be made so nicely, and I thought, well, why not, Carol? You cannot hoard everything. You just can't. Let's get this off here. And that is the right, yes, absolutely the right side. And let's see, close the fabric tack, or put the top on at least, and here we go. I might grumble and groan at this glue sometimes, but wow, it sure does this so nicely. It certainly does. Now, out of the way. No, I have a plan for that. Those leaves are hand painted, and I'm going to use them too. All right, now let's see. Let's just could not resist. I could not resist having that there. And I'm glad now that I did. Okay. I'm going to keep this and this and this out. And while I have that glue out, I'm going to add something to the cover. found this again. Where are you? There you are. I'm just thinking. What do you think? Shall I? Absolutely shall. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Okay, that's going to be another good thing done. Let's go. And let me put this back on here because it's got 20, 16, 17, and 18 inside, and it's kind of bursting, but that's good. Now, so next year, I'm going to start another, starting another annual Halloween journal. I'm sorry I stopped talking because I'm concentrating. I apologize. Here we go. Now I'm supposed to trust that this sticks. Sure I will. Not when there's art glitter glue around. Now let's see if this is straight. No, it isn't. Not straight enough to suit me. Yes. Where are you? There you are. Okay. Scissors. I've been using this for, I think, all the years since I've started this journal. And back it goes for another round. Well, that's another chore done. And as you can see, this is yes, I'm looking for the, okay, I'm going to make believe I can see it because I can't. Where in heaven's name did I put that center section? Okay. Under the book. I heard you. I heard you telling me it was under the book. In fact, it might be set by now. Well, this is today's accomplishment, and I'm going to be working. I have some of these papers and some other fun bits of paper and some, of course, some black soot. And this was Tattered Angels Art Glimmer. And I thought this would be, oh, and this, my. And what else is here? This. Yes, so that's all I have to work with, and I'm going to be making some bits to add to this. I'm thinking a pretty pocket over here. Maybe some journaling cards. Well, I will be getting back with you quite soon. I have some things to make to put in here. I will be getting back with you quite soon, and I do hope that you have enjoyed the visit and my answers to the 10 questions. I have been enjoying listening to all of you who have answered them. And now that my husband's parting remark to me was, well, dear, now that you've got your studio fixed up to suit you, maybe we can do that studio tour that you've been promising. And I'm thinking now the answer is probably yes. I'm going to do it, and you're going to have a tour of every little bit, because I'm not going to be holding any cameras. My husband's going to be holding the video, and so we can have a good visit in here. I do hope that you have enjoyed, and if you have, please give me a thumbs up, and I would appreciate your subscribing to my channel. Bye now.